The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 10th day of May 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. He's Larry Marshall Jr. and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Happy Hump Day, my brother.
Yeah, it's a good day. Happy Hump Day to all. You're right.
Did you have like a long weekend like the other normal or abnormal or other people?
No, I worked.
Yeah, that's what I
worked
thought.
all weekend.
So some of us have got to do it. Let me turn my light on. Some of us have got to do it. Some of us have to do it, brother. I'm just saying, spoiled people getting a what was it? A king's coronation and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even had to work. I'm not into that. Don't matter if it's the wedding, the coronation, I'm good.
Yeah, he had to work at His Majesty's borders for you all. That's what he had to do. Anyway, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today. We have a very special guest, Margaret Swift Thompson, and we're going to be talking about addiction recovery. The daily play, it's music today. I don't know the question yet, so we'll see if Larry can hang with the big boys. He probably would have gotten yesterday's question. Yesterday's question was, what year did Michael Jordan officially retire from the National Basketball Association?
Like the last time?
See what he did, folks? I said to Sancha afterwards, I said, Sancha, you should have asked me which time, because he retired 3 times.
Yeah.
But I said the last time after that.
Okay, 2003.
Correct. It was 2003. April 2003, last game in Philly against the Sixers. But he retired 2 other times in 1993 and 1998. But see, good man. He said which time. That's what it's all about, folks. Find out which time. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Folks, don't forget, we made a couple of announcements last week during our anniversary show. One being, we will be podcasting the show. The show will be come a podcast. So those who are unable to watch live and engage live will be able to listen to us on podcast platforms. We'll keep you abreast of when that will actually happen. Also, we will be having, again, you've heard of a restaurant crawl. We'll be having, a pub crawl, bar hopping. We'll be having a restaurant-like crawl this summer. So if you haven't already, you must be a member of the TDH community. You want to sign up for the TDH community. You can do that 2 ways. You can either do it on our website, thedailyhour.com, right up on the top of our website homepage, below the picture of the host of the show, you'll see a link. You can just sign up right there, or you can become a member of our YouTube channel to be an official member of the TDH community. We'll be going to different restaurants. We'll let you know once we have the date, and we'll be ending it with dessert at Scoop. So some fun things coming up for the TDH community. And also, we have 2 more big giveaways courtesy of the BAC group coming up this month. So we'll be giving away some remote control AC units. We're giving away two remote control AC units. And if you want to know how you can be a winner of these remote control AC units, all you have to do is go to our website, thedailyhour.com, and register. So go to our website, register to become a member of, the Daily Hour newsletter, right? We send about one a month. So just go to our website, thedailyhour.com, and subscribe to our website so that you can learn more about how you can win a chance for one of 2 remote control AC units, courtesy of the BAC group of companies. All right. Wow, we're giving away a lot, huh?
Yeah, I'm excited. Don't worry, I'm gonna still be in the comments.
Yeah,
Hashtag Daily Hour.
Yeah, he can't win, folks. Don't worry. I won't let him do that to you. I just won't let it happen. If he can win, then I can win.
I'm gonna do like dummy accounts and have it.
Yeah.
It'll be a scandal, the Daily Hour scandal.
You'd be like Maya and Tamara out there in the crowd, like we don't see their names popping up in the hey, right? I'm like, was that Maya? Was that Tamara? Like legit watching them spin around. But anyway, look, what can we say? We've got winners on the team. They go for it. Folks, look, there was an email that came through last week. And if you remember, we had the U.S. Consul General Office. We had them on the show back in March, I believe. And they did mention that it looked like May 11th would be the day when the border policy would change for those who were not vaccinated, right? Well, we did get a media advisory last week. On May 1st, the Biden-Harris administration announced updates to the U.S. COVID-19 vaccine requirements. The administration will end the COVID-19 vaccine requirements for international air travelers at the end of the day on May 11th, the same day that the COVID-19 public health emergency ends. This means starting May 12th, non-citizen, non-immigrant air passengers will no longer need proof no longer need to show proof of being fully vaccinated with an accepted COVID-19 vaccine to board a flight to the United States. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, amended order implementing a presidential proclamation on safe resumption of global travel during the COVID-19 pandemic will no longer be in effect when the presidential proclamation advancing the safe resumption of global travel during the COVID-19 pandemic is revoked. That said, folks, there's a lot that has been said about this over the last couple of years. A lot. And I guess the question of the morning is very simple. This means a lot to people. I mean, there are people that their children did not go to college. This is not just about vacation, right? This is not just about going, to Disney World or New York on your shopping trip. There were actual people who had financial implications, academic implications. They chose not to travel and make decisions in what they felt was in their best interest. So, for me, the question on our Instagram page yesterday was, where do you want to travel once the U.S. Borders reopen to non-vaccinated travelers? And some people said Europe, right? And they may actually mean, well, I want to travel, be able to use the U.S. as a place to make a connecting point, a gateway cities, right? Use the gateway cities in the U.S. There are some people that just want to get back to what they felt were normal and wanted to go back to college to finish their studies, right? But what are your thoughts? Where do you want to travel once the U.S. borders reopen? What's the date today? It's the 10th. So on Friday, where do you want to travel once the U.S. borders reopen to non-vaccinated travelers? What's on your mind? I'll tell you what. I was not impacted by this. As a new U.S. citizen, I just didn't. I wouldn't have been impacted either way. But I'll tell you what. There are people who. And I want people to really think of this. I'm shocked no one said this on Instagram. There were people who could not visit family members or attend funerals and things like that because of these travel, rules. Yeah, the restrictions in place. So it wasn't. I want people to understand it's not just about where you want to go to enjoy a good time in life, but these rules and restrictions were in place. By the government, and they're from their perspective to protect Americans, right? And fair to them. But now that the borders are wide open, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm being serious when I say this. I'm happy now that my friends and family can come and visit me. So for me, my answer to this question, where do you want to travel once the U.S. borders reopen to non-vaccinated travelers? My hope is that, my family and friends can come and see me now, which many of them were hoping to do. So what are your thoughts? Where do you want to travel? What is there business that you want to take care of? Are there schools that you want to go to or take your children to? Family? What's up?
Yeah, you said a lot, and I think many people who are in the position of that didn't receive the vaccine are probably, hopeful and other stuff. It did affect me. I
Mhm.
usually keep that private, but at this point, I really don't care. Um, but when I did decide to make the decision I made, I must say, hello?
We're here.
Okay, my monitor just went off. I'm sorry. Um, for me, I made a decision based on the fact, I'm sorry, what was very huge for me was a medical emergency.
Mhm.
And I had to obviously make contingency plans. What would happen if A, B, C, or D happened? And that was probably the most important thing in my going forward.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, you can worry about things like vacation and other things wasn't as high as a priority, but it was that emergency situation.
Mhm.
Having know that it is, and we're moving forward, I can say that I am able to be. I want to just be able to be free and go. Like it is a restriction, it is a sacrifice. But a quick pop to the U.S. is always helpful
Mhm.
versus oh well, I have
Mhm.
to go Europe or I have to go Canada because it's just so convenient.
Yeah. I think the convenience factor is important. It's very important. I think, I know family members who had to go overseas for medical, and they needed others to go with them, and the others had to get waivers. Now, in fairness, all the situations I know of, the U.S. government or consulate was very friendly to those who required waivers just to go, who may not have been vaccinated. But just a quick question of the audience. Who was impacted? And again, it's a private matter. You don't have to say, but was anyone impacted by the travel restrictions in terms of trying to go and visit family or your schooling or your children's schooling or maybe medical? Was anyone impacted by it? And I think another question is, what can we learn from this? And I think one of the things I think we can learn from this is what Larry just said, having contingency plans, right? This can happen at any time. I
Yeah.
think one thing that came out of this for me is that it really helped us understand that traveling is really a privilege, and traveling to other jurisdictions where you don't hold citizenship or residency is a privilege. I think that's what came out of it for me. But I also have to give credit to Bermudians. I don't know how you all can do it. I honestly, and this is said with no disrespect to anybody, but to stay on that little ass island without going anywhere for that long?
Okay, so I think what so many Bermudians have used this opportunity to explore and go other places. Portugal, that gateway that went through there, so many people were going through Portugal, so many people were going through the UK, and once Canada opened up, they used Canada to go to different places. I think I have heard so many people even make this statement. Oh, you know what? I don't even need them to open because I'm having so much fun going to other places. So I do think that helped to broaden the horizons of a few more
Oh, I
Bermudians.
hope so, because there's more to the world than Atlanta, New York, and Disney World. But also,
Yeah.
I hope that it gave people the opportunity to explore Bermuda. I really do. I hope it gave people the opportunity to explore Bermuda. Nicole Walker says, "Good morning. I know some folks who have been waiting for the restrictions to be lifted in order to go forward with a surgery they prefer to have overseas." Yeah, there's quite a few. Nicole Walker also says, "I mostly use the US as a transit to other destinations, Africa and the Caribbean." And I think that's what a lot of people miss, that convenience of being able to, utilize the gateway cities in the US to get to other places. I know a good group of people that went through Canada, for instance, to get to Trinidad Carnival. And I mean, I'm glad because it tells you there are other options. There's other ways to explore and see the world. I just want to go to our Instagram. So where do you want to travel when the U.S. allows the non-vaccinated to re-enter? Some of the responses: Los Angeles, New York City, Atlanta, Chicago, New Jersey. Interesting. Barcelona. So that falls in line with Gateway City. Barcelona, as mentioned. To see Sherry, Jamal, and Sherry. Sherry, do you do visitors? I'm very particular in who I allow to visit me, Sherry. LA, somebody says LA. Someone says it's been so long, anywhere would do. Interesting. Been so long, anywhere would do.
Yeah, and one of the things that were not talked about is the cost, right? The convenience and the cost factor. Sometimes, like what you said, you may imagine how you stay on the rocket. Sometimes you just need this 3 days to be like, you know what, the highways is better than the slow ways of our Bermuda. So I think the convenience to get there, possibly stay with family, to have a quick vacation is something that we took for granted, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we lose out on things, not for everybody, but at some point it was everyone. Because remember, at one point they was only letting US citizens, the border was closed. So you have to be able to appreciate something sometimes when you lose it.
Yeah, and I think again that goes back to what can we learn from this. I think there's so many lessons in this. I think again, having contingency plans, number one. Number two is understanding that travel to other jurisdictions is a privilege. We can have a conversation all day about borders and policies and so on, but it is a privilege the way that the world's set up right now. But I think contingency plans are important. Do we want to be in a position where we're so reliant? This should be look within. Like, there's a time when people needed to travel overseas for certain medical services. This should have made Bermudians and Bermuda look at, what? If this were to happen again, we need such and such on island so that we have the services to offer people so they don't have to go overseas, right? I think it's an opportunity to really figure out, even from a tourist perspective. I mean, we know tourism's been declining. The biggest hotel closed during the pandemic, right? During this time, what is there in Bermuda that we can do to explore? You just mentioned people took the opportunity to go other places. Has every Bermudian visited Blue Hill since the dolphin show no longer existed? Have we been to Tom Moore's Jungle? Have we been up to the National Museum of Bermuda at the Earl Maritime Museum? Have we taken advantage of touring down beyond Clearwater? What's it called down there?
Cooper's Island.
Cooper's Island. Have we explored our island enough? This was a perfect time to get to know the Bermuda beyond what we know.
Yeah, I would agree.
So the opportunities within it, I know what the freedom feels like to leave Bermuda, well, permanently, but to leave Bermuda on a vacation or a trip. How many of you have booked your trips already? I know people who were booked. They're like, you know what? I'm confident it's coming up May 11th. I'm booked. I'm getting off the island. I'm going on vacation. You've got people who had to cancel vacations. Remember, we're talking 40th birthdays, 50th birthdays, things like milestones, that honeymoons, weddings. Like, there was a lot that took place the last few years while this lockdown was happening, and now it's opening back up. What does it mean to you, for you and your family?
I have a interesting take. You made me think of something just now with it opening, because we look at it from Bermuda as being a gateway and transit. Do you think that they may affect people coming to Bermuda and increase our numbers because they're able to transit through?
What do you mean, like people coming to Bermuda?
Meaning people from other countries that may come. I know a large part come from the US, but if you're coming from the Caribbean and other places and they don't want to take the vaccine, then they wouldn't be able to travel through the US, so they may stay away from Bermuda.
That's a good question. That's a good question. And an audience, what are your thoughts? That's a very good question. How did it impact Bermuda's numbers? People may be coming who wanted to come to Bermuda from the Caribbean, or even the continent of Africa or Europe some way, and the best option would have been going through the US, right? but they weren't vaccinated. They couldn't travel through the U.S. So, I mean, I wonder if there's any statistics on that from a tourism perspective of how it impacted travel and tourism to Bermuda. But that's a valid question. That's a very good question, folks. Let us know where do you want to travel once the borders reopen. You're quiet this morning. Are you well, most of you are vaccinated, I guess, so you've been traveling, huh?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the small majority, and I'm so glad we shifted away from the conversation of vax versus unvax, because I think I want to say in 2021 that was the hottest topic. It outdone politics and religion. Um, but I know for myself, I must say I want to get to the West Coast, and then of course that transit. You know what I mean? It just makes it easier, and that extra option.
So you and your family have booked your ticket?
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
family's able to travel, so it didn't affect them. I was the only one stuck in Bermuda.
Yeah, he's on non-immigrant status, folks.
Yeah.
he had to wait. He had to wait. Now the family's like, oh man, we gotta take him with us now.
This is it.
I get it. They can't take that trip without him. Folks, we've got a very good conversation coming up with Margaret Swift Thompson. We're talking about addiction recovery. But what I find fascinating about the conversation today with our guests is when we discuss addiction, we're really talking, we've really almost always spoken about the addict or the person impacted directly. We never really speak about the family and how the family is impacted. So I think this is another really good conversation that I'm looking forward to. But we have Maya Palacio coming up with the news break. I don't think Maya restricted herself. She was in Vegas recently, so I don't think she's in that boat of I can't wait to go to the U.S. again and travel to such and such. So let's bring her up and see if she's got anything to add to that conversation. And folks, again, stick with us for the conversation with Margaret Swift Thompson coming up after your news break.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, madam. How are you?
I'm pretty good this morning.
Well, that is wonderful to hear, Maya. I
Good
mean,
morning.
hopefully there won't be any moments like yesterday.
What was yesterday? Oh, yes, yesterday. Because
the meme that's being sent around with Sencha looking confused and disgusted.
Oh, just Sencha.
Oh, me? That was me in there? I couldn't even recognize myself, couldn't recognize myself. But what you got for us today?
Good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Out News brought to you by People's Pharmacy. And currently there are 2 men in the hospital who have life-threatening injuries after a collision that occurred last night on motorcycles. So on 10:40 p.m. on Tuesday, May the 9th, police and other emergency personnel were dispatched to the scene of a serious collision on Middle Road, Southampton, near Scenic Heights Road. Anyone who may have witnessed this collision is encouraged to please call PC Imani Scott on 211 or email iscott@bps.bn.
Question for you, personal question. When you're out riding at night, do you feel less safe at night versus during the day, Maya?
That's a good question. I want to say that personally, I feel safer at night than I do on the day because
Less traffic.
yeah, less traffic at night. During the day, I used to see the most craziness, and lately I've been like looking at people's license plates. I just see a lot of unlicensed bikes in front of me whenever I'm riding around. It's always been like something that I just like peep and see, and I'm just like, wow, a lot of people don't have their bikes license. Like the other day, I actually was behind someone 2022. I was like, that's a while back, and you're still riding this bike and you're speeding like crazy. It's just
Yeah.
How about you, like you still ride?
Or yes, for me, I would say equal. It shifts. I'm always looking during the day for cars or bikes coming out of gates. It's the gates in Bermuda. Somebody's always trying to sneak out in there, and I try my best not to fall in that category. Not perfect and whatnot. Night, it shifts where I think about people who've been drinking or the people that's looking to probably jump you or get off your bike and that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm always on alert looking who's in my mirror, how long this bike's been behind me. That's just the way how I think when I'm riding at night. So it's kind of half and half.
Mm, mm. Gotcha. Yeah, I will say, I mean, again, and I'm not making light of it, but I tend to ride at a slower speed than most when in Bermuda. I take Harbor Road a lot, but I try to ride as defensive as possible, regardless. But one of the things I realized about myself, and I remember having this conversation on my radio show back in the day with Marsha Jones, the mother of the late Shonda Jones, that I started to feel like there was nothing good out after certain hours. So I tried not to be on the roads late nights unless I was working. So that's just, I don't know. I wouldn't say I felt less safe. I just felt like if I can avoid putting myself in a situation, I would. But then again, it's like, why am I letting outside factors control how I live? You know what I'm saying? It's such
Yeah.
a it's
Well,
it's,
we
it's
have to. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we constantly, even not really thinking about it, the choices that we make, we do allow the outside factors to
yeah,
control what we do in the daily. And it's
indeed.
good that we do sometimes, because it's been so dangerous on our roads. And as you can see, like today is now what, the fourth day I'm reporting an accident back to back to
Mhm.
back to back. As yesterday, I reported 3 that happened in a row, every single day, and now the next one.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying, it's sad, and I wish that we could just slow down and encourage the people that we love to slow down, because all these people who have been in accidents are extremely loved by somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have
And
to encourage.
Maya, you must know, yeah, in my head, I am most vulnerable, or not vulnerable, most when I'm rushing for work, that's when I kind of can get into a bad habit. And one day I was, you know, going faster. I said, Larry, just slow down. You have a family, you have this, and I heard your voice. So you was in my head. So I guess the message just has to keep being put out there. We're not perfect, but all it does take is one moment, and we try and we want to be more responsible. Um, I know I see people doing way stuff that I wouldn't even dream of trying.
Mhm.
Again, the gates and stuff, but it leads itself to ask almost, and I know Dr. French Jr. used to get very frustrated with the governments and other people because we just really don't have an answer as to what to do. It's
Mhm.
really it's a chronic problem in Bermuda, and we just report if it goes to the absolute worst situation. We thoughts and prayers with families
Mhm.
and on to the next.
Yeah. The message is resonating, Maya. What else you got for us? And I just sending, healing thoughts to those impacted, and hopefully they recover. And the folks, we got to learn from these.
Definitely. Well, do you guys know what Standard and Poor's credit rating is?
Other than ones who create Bermuda's economy or something, I'm not sure.
Close, very close, yeah. Standard and Poor's, or S&P, is a rating agency that ranks the credit worthiness of borrowers by rating their debt or other securities using a standardized rating scale. So the S&P has reaffirmed Bermuda's A+ sovereign credit rating. Actually, they highlighted in the report that the international business sector continues to propel Bermuda's economy despite uncertainty about the global minimum corporate tax initiative. And tourism has also increased markedly in 2023 and should further support the growth. The report also said that the government borrowed $890 million in 2022 to repay upcoming maturities and expects no borrowing until after 2028. In response to the report, Premier David Burt stated Bermudians should be encouraged by the latest review of S&P as it helps to validate the work of Bermuda's government on the path to continued economic recovery.
The work, I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing
So
it.
I'm gonna take it over from Jamal. So 2028 is when we shouldn't borrow again. We should actually be asking if we could find ways to reduce the debt now, right? Because when you don't have to pay, I mean, obviously interest rates are going and whatnot, but I think it's easy to just say, hey, we're not going to borrow until 2028. But what is the plan to reduce the debt?
Mhm. Yep. In a conversation that I had with an MP, I believe it was a couple of months ago, but we discussed how, Bermuda is quite wasteful. And the one thing that we do waste a lot is our money. And right now we should stop spending it on things money that we don't have. Like we're spending our money on things that we don't need and money that we don't have. So it's a lot of cutbacks in budgeting that we have to regroup and refocus on.
And was this in reference to the government as a macro or individual?
Government really as a macro, but like
Okay.
things that are being spent on, like, for example, I guess you could say trips that can just be Zoom calls, for example.
But again, that's for us, the people, to demand that of our people in leadership.
I'm going to move on to the next bit of news here, and I'll try to wrap it up for everyone real quick. But the Department of Corrections launched a new campaign to recruit corrections officers. So that deadline is actually on the May 17th, but the DOC is looking for 25 suitable qualified men and women to join its ranks. Successful applicants will be required to undergo a 12-week introductory training course that encompasses several subjects, including the management of inmates, department policies and procedures, and legislation. And if you are interested in applying, they should apply via the government careers website, again, by May 17th.
You know what? I'm curious. I'm curious about this. The Bermuda Police Service, the Fire Service, and now Department of Corrections. They all seem to be looking for suitable and qualified, whatever that means, because I don't know what those JDs look like. They all seem to be looking for people. Have any efforts been made to really bring Bermudians who have left for whatever reason back to Bermuda? I'd like to know that. Do we know if there may be qualified Bermudians that we can look into helping to relocate to Bermuda to take up these opportunities? I don't know. I'm just asking because, Charles H. Jefferson II may have said it. He was working in the tourism space, COO at Atlanta's Tourism and Convention Bureau, and no one knew him. We don't have a database of Bermudians who are outside of Bermuda working in spaces that, if brought back to Bermuda, they can add value and actually help the island. You know what I'm saying? So my hope is that the Bermuda Police Service, Department of Corrections, the Fire Service are actually creating a database, or there's a database somewhere of Bermudians who may be exceeding in other spaces that are similar to the skill sets that you're looking for, that you can probably recruit back home. That's just my two cents.
And that actually gave me an idea just now, Jarrell. So thank you for that. And now finally from Burn News, the Bermuda Nurse Association is holding events to mark Nurses Month, including the 36th annual Bermuda Nurses Association Brunch. The brunch event saw Renee Fulkin, I'll bring a photo up here, who is a nurse educator at Bermuda College, named the 2023 Nurse of the Year. So there's some good news to end your news break this morning.
Congratulations. That is good. Nurse of the Year. We've had quite a few past Nurses of the Years on the show. So congratulations to the latest recipient. How's the weather?
Quite cloudy, increasing risk of rain and showers today, guys, and a chance of thunder too. So be super, super mindful if you're traveling on the roads today, especially if you're on a bike. And there's going to be some really strong gusts in the showers as well as they come down. So again, just be very, very mindful. And we have a high of 73 degrees today, guys.
All righty, Larry, what's the days of the year? You got something good for us?
Today is World Lupus Day. Learn the symptoms so you can act fast against the life-threatening autoimmune disease known as lupus, which affects at least 5 million people globally.
Yeah, I think, is it wear purple? Do they wear purple in recognition of lupus? I believe. No, it's not.
There's a few things that
they do.
I don't know the color.
Yeah, I definitely know people who have been impacted by lupus. It's tough. The people I know that have been dealing with it. So thanks for recognizing that. Folks, don't forget, as I said at the beginning of the show, we have a lot. It is purple. Thanks, Maya. She's so quick. She's quick. I love it. We've got some things coming up. One, we made two announcements last week. As Maya shared, we'll be podcasting the show. So those who are unable to watch and engage live, the show will be available via podcast very soon. So look out for that. Stay tuned. We'll also be doing this summer. You've heard of a pub crawl, like how people bar hop. We'll be doing a restaurant version of that this summer. So if you aren't already, make sure you're a TDH community member. You can do that by simply going on our website. Beneath the picture of the host, it's a link where you can register, sign up, or you can just go on our YouTube channel and hit the join button and choose your level and sign up with us. We're going to have some fun, going to different restaurants, getting a taste of each thing, and ending with dessert. So come on the bus tour, get to know each and every one of us. Well, if you'd like. I mean, I am grumpy in person as well. But anyway, these guys are pretty cool. Also, we have some giveaways before the end of this month. Our new title partner, the BAC group of companies, have been so generous. They have given us 2 remote control AC units to give away. We'll be giving you more details in the coming days as to how you can win those. One hint I will give you: if you haven't already, go to thedailyhour.com and just register for our newsletter. So soon as you go to thedailyhour.com, a prompt will come up. Subscribe to our website. Just put your email address in, and we will ensure that you get the details as to how you can be a winner. I think that's it. Maya and I will tell you one day soon how you can win a AC unit. We haven't figured it out yet. So hopefully she's blowing up my phone later. Talk to you later, Maya.
Bye, guys.
See you later, Maya.
I like putting it on her. All right, folks, do not go anywhere. As stated earlier, very important conversation coming up. Margaret Swift Thompson. We're talking about addiction recovery, folks. Addiction recovery. We really want to, I want everyone to understand the importance of this conversation. Addiction impacts so much more than just the individual who's addicted. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our guest for today, Margaret Swift Thompson. Stick with us.
Get ahead of the summer heat with BAC's pre-summer sale on air conditioners. For a limited time only, you can enjoy a 15% discount on Lortec and Cooper and Hunter AC mini-split AC units, 2 of the most trusted brands in the industry. Plus, with financing options available, you can make your purchase even more affordable. But don't delay, this offer is only valid through May 31st or while supplies last. Whether you're looking to upgrade your home or office AC units, BAC has got you covered. Stay cool and comfortable this summer with BAC.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. Larry Marshall Jr., myself, Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community, but also so that you can be a winner and a part of all that we have coming up this summer. Some exciting stuff. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We have Margaret Swift Thompson, and we're talking about addiction recovery. Here we go. Let's give a warm welcome. Sorry, we didn't even get that. Oops, that's the wrong one. We usually give warm welcomes here. Sorry. They were a bit slow today. They were a bit slow. They were called.
That's okay. Good morning, all. Good morning, Bermuda. It's so good to listen in, you know, being a Bermudian overseas, just to hear you all talk and relate to everything you're sharing. It's great to be here this morning.
Indeed. And where are you based?
North Carolina now.
Oh, okay.
My state. I went to
Is
school
it?
in North Carolina.
Where'd you go, Larry?
St. Augustine's College, no, St. Augustine's University in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, yeah.
All right. I'm up in the mountains on the west side, but
Ashfield?
Okay.
Is it Ashfield or something?
I'm south of Asheville. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a beautiful part of the country.
You know, North Carolina is the only state on the East Coast I've never been to. And when I say never been to, I've only been in the airport, Charlotte, but I've never ever been to. So I've got to make my way there. I'm down in South Florida myself. So
Are you? Okay.
yeah, thank you for doing this. This to me, as stated, as I was reading, you know, we do a lot of reading when guests are coming on to get to understand the conversation, to pretty much know, you know, what the purpose of the conversation is going to be and how to engage the audience. So I was very intrigued by this. But before we get started, just tell us a bit about your background and your story.
That's a big one, but let's go with born and raised on the island. Bermuda is my home. My family is there. My brother is Pembroke Paint Company, David Swift. That's my family. And went off to university. But my work in the field of addiction came by a consequence of falling in love with someone who had an addiction. And I didn't know. And that relationship did not last. But as a result, I did a good old-fashioned geographical escape from Bermuda. And I landed in Center City, Minnesota. But at the time when I left Bermuda, I was hosting Youth Talk. And it became a very uncomfortable position for me because I was very ashamed of what had happened. I was ashamed of myself because I had not seen it or handled it. You know, we speak about this disease from a standpoint of the person with it. We neglect to care for the people around it. You hear the whole language around addiction has changed in the 23 years I've worked in the field. But when we hear it's a family disease, then I scream, why are we not doing more for families? And the statistics show you get families involved in their recovery, setting healthy boundaries against the disease, caring for themselves. You can help the person get well. And so
we'll talk a bit more on that to come. And I just want to, you know, to translate, because I want people to understand what you do. So just tell us a bit about Embrace Family Recovery. What's that all about?
Sure. So I worked at Hazel and Betty Ford for 23 years in a treatment center, and I worked with clients in treatment, long-term primary care, outpatient, to then working in the family side of it, which is my sweet spot because that's how I got into it. When COVID happened, a series of events, I was furloughed. And I believe my higher power did for me what I would never have done for myself because I was loyal to the organization. I loved where I worked for those years. And I launched Embrace Family Recovery because I saw such a need over my years working in the field of families saying to me, who's there for me? How do I go home when my loved one leaves treatment? And how do I engage with them in a healthy way when they've gotten however many days of treatment and I've got one counseling session and maybe gone to an Al-Anon meeting? I need more help. I don't even know how to have a conversation with this person sober. How will we engage sober if we can stay sober? You know, there's a lot there, and families struggle to gain the resources and even the education to understand the impact on them. So that's where I came to launch Embrace Family Recovery, which is a coaching business. And I did that strategically because I wanted to be able to work with people at home. I left Bermuda under my own pain and found an amazing career I never dreamed I would have. However, I've always been loyal to want to give back to my home and my country because I know these issues are there.
Indeed. And speak to us about the kinds of addictions that you focus on through your coaching, because there's so many different kinds of addiction.
So to be honest, my first and foremost is substance use of any kind. So it would be any chemical, but I came in on the opposite side of someone with a sexual compulsion, which is also known as sex addiction, depending on where you land. I also am a recovering food addict. So I kind of cover the gamut. My thing is, whatever it is that we have a relationship with a substance or behavior that is superseding my human capacity to engage in life, relationships. If anything is that out of balance, I need to look at it. It's a pathological relationship with a substance or behavior that supersedes all other needs. Things we do, we'd never believe we'd do because we are under the control of a substance or behavior that tells us we have to survive.
Okay. So why is support for families so necessary?
So you take a look at one person has the substance issue or the addiction issue. Say only 2 people love them, which is short numbers, right? Because most people have more people in their family. You then go into the workforce, right? Whether it's the person or the people around them. People are distracted, people are preoccupied, people are not able to step into the job as well. We have the ripple effect. Go to schools. How many of our children who are impacted by this disease, and I separate them out a lot. You'll hear my language. It's not the person who's the addict. It's the disease coming through them that infiltrates the whole family. That disease impacts our children and how they're navigating school. So it's looking at the whole picture, not just taking the one person out, getting them well, thinking everything else will get better. We get taught how to survive in the world by the disease of addiction if we are raised in a family with addiction. And so until we get some help to realize some of those ways of surviving are no longer working for us, it can damage the way we engage in life and relationships.
That's interesting because I heard you often, well, not often, you just refer to the families and whatnot. But, these things kind of take place and some family members distance themselves or get angry and stuff like that. So how does support look like? What does support look like when you have family members that wash their hands and just, angry?
So personally, I believe a big part of it is acknowledging the truth. So my truth is addiction is a no-fault disease. It is not a choice. And if you question that, which all of us do, I certainly did when I even landed in the work, is how many of us are accidental non-addicts because we've tried a substance and thankfully it didn't create an addiction, whereas another person did. So there's a disease element. If we believe it's a disease, then we look at it as a no-fault disease. Do we get angry at people with cancer? Do we get angry at people with diabetes? Sometimes, but the anger can be directed at the disease rather than the person. How do you support them? You get the education to understand what you're navigating. Because unlike cancer, if you show up as a family member and you try and do everything to make that person well who has cancer, which is the normal way to care for them, take on responsibilities, lighten their load so they can focus on their treatment. If you do that with the disease of addiction, which is our instinct, our way to help, the disease gets stronger. The person we love gets taken from us worse. So we have to learn to set boundaries against the disease while still showing up and loving the person who has the illness. And that is challenging. It's not black and white. And we have to look at how to do that.
Okay.
If you have any questions or comments, please send them through. I'm honestly fascinated by the conversation because again, and Larry, thank you for that follow-up question just now in reference to, I know of situations where people just wash their hands. They're like, no, I can't help. And, we're talking chemicals like alcohol. We're talking about simple things like drugs, harder drugs where people just like, look, we tried to help this person so addicted. Just yesterday, I quote tweeted something where it was a tweet that was shared about a man who referred to as a crackhead on someone's Ring camera recorded basically at their house at 2-3 a.m. in the morning, to his dealer asking, look, man, I need something. And the man on the Ring's telling him to leave his house or whatnot. And it was nothing funny about it to me. And I actually quote tweeted that. It was nothing funny about it to me. I don't think addiction's funny. But within the age of social media, and Larry, I'm sorry, just cutting in because I didn't think of that. But in the age of social media, is it more difficult? Like, how do we combat this? How can we encourage families to actually be a part of helping rather than washing their hands and the greater community making fun of people who actually really need our help?
It's a big question. I think that one is understanding. Like, I am floored at my own ignorance as a master's educated counselor working in Bermuda before I ever got into the field of addiction. I didn't believe it was a disease. And that's because we won one class, medical trained professionals, people getting their degrees to be doctors, often get one class in addiction, right? We've got to do better to understand this disease that is running rampant across our world. And the other piece of it is education. For example, alcohol, right? We talk about alcoholism and we talk about an island where I grew up there. We started young. I mean, we were accessing it early. And the reality is there by the grace of a higher power, that didn't happen to me because I didn't like to lose control. And so food looked different to me than alcohol. But the reality of alcohol is it's the most lethal to detox from. We don't talk about that. More people die getting off of chronic alcoholism than any other drug. And all we hear about is, and I'm not dismissing it, overdoses on opiates and stuff, which is a big issue. Bermuda, I looked up some stats because I was very curious. And I looked in the annual report on the Bermuda Drug Information Network from 2022. So how interesting will it be to look at these stats as COVID got more intense? But fentanyl was a very minute amount on the island, thankfully, because it is lethal. But alcohol sales in 2021, the value of home consumption, just home consumption, was $25.5 million in Bermuda.
Well,
we got to take a look at it. We got to take a look at it.
I can definitely believe it. Yeah.
I can too. I grew up there, Larry. I remember how much we drank.
But it's one more. I'm sorry. I'm intrigued as well as Karen Simmons saying this conversation is so intriguing and how Margaret describes the disease of addiction makes so much sense. Education is key. But I want to say, because I just saw a tweet yesterday, I don't know who put it, or a day before, where young person just asked, like, what is there to do in Bermuda outside of drinking, right? And I think there's a lot to do in Bermuda, but the fact that we grow up and, as you just said, we have access to alcohol at young ages. Again, I would never consider myself an addict or, someone who had an issue, but I am happy. I am extremely happy that this summer, in 2 months, I'll be celebrating 4 years of not consuming alcohol and not being drunk. And that's personal to me. Again, I say to people all the time, I never intended not to drink again. I was giving my body a break because of personal things that were going on in my family. So, I look at it as an opportunity. When I said I went on my first trip to Turks and Caicos, and I was like, let me get a virgin pina colada. And I started enjoying, I can still have fun sitting at this bar or on vacation without it. So that was my easy route to it. And then the substitutions, the Heineken Zeros and the non-alcoholic wines. So it was like people who now decide that they're going to quit eating meat. There's so many different substitutes and more available options to not eat meat. So I think, growing up, yes, we're surrounded by it, but I think education is the key for all of this, all of it.
So to your point, Jamal, there is a huge Sober Curious network and movement coming. And Sober Curious is one thing, addiction is another. I love Sober Curious. I like that there are now bars for social hours and stuff. I love the fact there are options for people. It's kind of like me as a recovering food addict. Coming back to Bermuda in my early days of recovery, I couldn't get the food I needed. Now I can. And so progress is happening. The thing that I think is so important to recognize, though, is somebody who can stop and have a quality of life that's wonderful is different than somebody who's addicted and cannot even comprehend how they would survive a day without it. The preoccupation is nonstop. And where it comes to the family side, my preoccupation over my drug of no choice, which is a walking, talking human being, doesn't shut off either unless I get help. So a drug of no choice is somebody who's addicted to a substance or a behavior that they can't stop. For family members, they can't stop preoccupied, obsessed, trying to fix, manage, control the person with the disease 24/7. How do you work a job around that? When you're constantly worried about what Susie's doing, where Johnny is, are they going to be okay today? Am I going to walk off the bus from school and find my parent dead? We have to get honest about the ripple effect of the trauma and the fears surrounding this illness. And in Bermuda, as a small island, the options are restricted. What there is for help is there, which is great. people struggle because the shame is still so great. And to your point about the person on the Ring camera, can we have compassion for people who are suffering in the illness rather than judge them or make fun of them?
Yes. Yeah. I think you definitely hit it, and some hard, honest conversations need to be had to do that. But moving on, what kind of support and resources do you offer?
Yes. So I have a podcast, by the way. Welcome to the podcast community. I've been doing it now for 2 years. And so I have people who come on, and this is my service project. I want people out there who are alone, because that is the nature of the disease. Whether we have the addiction or with family members, let's keep it secret. We don't want to get anybody out there to know. Let's not talk about it. There's a lot of shame and secrecy, which makes us alone in our head with what I call the monkey chatter. And that makes us more impacted by the illness. Whereas if we could get out of the shame and stigma and start hearing there is a solution and a way forward, the podcast does that. I have people on who talk about their journey as a family member. We talk about tips and strategic ways to get healthy for ourselves, whether or not our person with the disease is healthy, because that's important. It's like the old oxygen analogy when you get on the airplane. You both are familiar with this. They tell you to put the oxygen mask on first and then help the people next to you.
Mm-hmm.
My gut instinct in that is, heck no, my babies next to me are getting that first. The reality is, if I don't do that and something happens, I'm dead. I'm no use to those children. That's how we have to start thinking around addiction. If we don't care for ourselves, we can't help the person we love who's suffering in the disease. And the piece about what they can do with me is I do coaching for families. My biggest family was 7. So I had like the screen of the Brady Bunch going on my coaching. And I do groups for family members twice a month where they can come on and we do a topic and we talk about. So coaching is giving them the ability to co-create a plan out of the insanity. I have the experience and knowledge of the disease. They have the experience and knowledge and know their family best. We work together to make a plan forward to help them find some peace and serenity, because they don't live in that state when they love someone with the disease.
Yeah, you've definitely given us a wealth of information and a lot to take from there. So tell us where people can learn more.
Sure. So my website is embracefamilyrecovery.com, and people can sign up through Work with Margaret. And then I have a complimentary call with them when we see if we go forward, how it would work, and talk about a plan. They can join to my groups through that same page. My podcast is the Embrace Family Recovery Podcast. And I just want to throw a plug out there for what it's worth. I just got off 2 retreats. I did 2 retreats in Wisconsin with 51 people on one and 15 on another. And they were all loving family members who were hurting and wounded by this disease and were given strategies, resources, and tools to help move forward. I want to come to Bermuda and do some retreats. Let's get some education out there. Let's get some talking out there. Let's do some of these things in that beautiful location that is also hurting because this disease runs rampant.
Indeed, indeed. If you have any questions or comments, please send them through. We do have one. Barbara Ann Thorne says, "Hi, Megs. With your focus on the family, do you also coach family members that have just had enough? When does it become okay to not be educated / understanding, etc., and say, I can't deal anymore? I am tired of the roller coaster that has become my life."
So shout out to Barb's lifelong friend. Thank you, baby. I would say the first thing to say is everyone has to make their own decision on when they've had enough is enough. They do. We all have to preserve our well-being and whatever that looks. Now, what I would say is when it comes to when I get off the roller coaster ride, I had to get off the roller coaster ride in my relationship. But the irony is he ended it because I couldn't. I was too unwell. I was too addicted to fixing him to get out of the relationship. So there's that component. We need help when we're in that position. And we need help in the position when we're thinking, I want to stay invested, but I am just so emotionally drained, physically drained, spiritually drained, sick. I mean, how many family members have immune system issues, compromised health issues? We have to look at self-care. I think that nobody can decide for another person when enough is enough, when that boundary has to hit. But I also think we can back it away from the all or nothing extremes and find a boundary of let's engage this way and see how we're doing before we say I'm done.
Is it safe to say that that's okay getting off the roller coaster if you know that you can't do it? Is it okay?
Yes. I think that one of the things that's so infuriating and frustrating about the illness is I can look at the person I love and say, I want you well, because love is at the core of all of this. No malintent. They want the person well. I can no longer be held hostage by this disease because it's destroying my being. And at the end of the day, the person with the illness has to surrender to their help. No one can make my quote that I always have people hang on to. Nothing I do makes another person use. It's never anyone else's fault. No matter if they're screaming at you saying if you did this, I wouldn't use. And nothing I can do makes another person recover. They have to get to the point of saying, I can't live like this. The pain is too great. I want help. I'll do whatever's necessary to get help. So there is a time where you can walk away. And it's terrifying, Larry, because you think they're going to die, which is the number one fear that keeps people stuck in these insane relationships caused by the disease, not the people.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Margaret Swift Thompson. Embrace Recovery. This was a very, very informative and helpful conversation. Just remind people how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. My email, Margaret@embracefamilyrecovery.com. I am on WhatsApp for Bermuda. If anybody wants to reach out to me, 715-501-8392. But my website, embracefamilyrecovery.com, and hit the podcast when you're out for a walk on that beautiful North Shore or South Shore. Just enjoy knowing you're not alone.
I will do. I'm very intrigued. So thank you so much. Let's keep in touch. If there's anything we can do, just let us know. Have a great one.
Thanks for what you're all doing. It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right, Margaret Swift Thompson. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Larry, I don't know about you, but I am really encouraged by people and programs like that, simply because, the mantra for this show is simply improving our community one conversation at a time. And, it's because of people like her that we're able to do that. So I really appreciate, her trust in this platform to have the conversation. Again, folks, if you appreciated the conversation, the information, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break, come back, wrap it up, Daily Play, and just remind you of how you can become a big winner courtesy of the Daily Hour. Stick with us.
Get ahead of the heat and save 15% on Lortec and Cooper and Hunter AC units during BAC's pre-summer sale. Financing is available and the offer is good through till May 31st or while supplies last.
Hi, welcome to ER Fisheries. I'm Jalen Steed, store manager and trained chef, and I'm here to help you with all of your food needs. Let's talk about why you should come and check out ER Fisheries. We offer the widest range of specialty meats and seafood items at a price point that will absolutely fit your budget. As a chef, I'm able to answer all of your food questions, help you come up with meal ideas, and generally guide you in the right direction. You'll get a custom shopping experience unlike any other food store in Bermuda, where we'll cater to your needs and provide you with excellent customer service. Where else can you get quality cooking advice and quality products? I look forward to helping you with all your meal ideas.
Bermuda, get ready for the official summer starter. DJ Rusty G presents Flag Invasion. I have a big flag. The Sunset Edition. Much more than just a party. This is an outdoor festival happening Saturday, May 20th at Port St. Catherine. Doors open at 6 p.m. 3 stages. One epic event featuring an all-star lineup of international entertainers. DJ Rusty G.
Yo, Rusty G here, inviting everybody out to Fort St. Catherine. It's gonna be crazy.
Just Jay.
Yo, what's up, Bermuda? This is Just Jay from Barbados. May 20th, I will be on your shores. It's all about Flag Invasion.
Ricky Platinum.
Yo, hear me and say no. From here, the voice, you don't know, so Ricky Platinum at top. Bermuda, May the 20th, Ricky Platinum live.
DJ Quest.
Yo, Bermuda, check in. DJ Quest from the 268 Antigua. I'll be there May 20th for Flag Invasion.
Shep Beats.
Yo, what up, Bermuda? This is DJ Shep Beats, the London Governor out of Barbados. See you guys real soon at Flag Invasion.
And Fire Wayne.
Yo, it's your boy Fire Wayne. Flag Invasion, I'll be there.
Also featuring Bermuda's finest DJs, Mr. Genius, DJ iBreeze, Marky T, Young Gun Sound, DJ Maestro, Jim Brown, Corey Miners, E.T. Flavor, DJ Young Sai, DJ Derek, and DJ La Jefa. Get your ticket online right now at DJRustyG.com. Sponsored by Coxper Rum, Stoli Vodka, Wicked, and Carrot Beer.
All right. Thanks again to Margaret Swift Thompson for trusting our platform to have such an important conversation. Thanks again to the BAC Group, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to have these conversations. Again, folks, if you appreciated today's conversation or just the show in general, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you're sharing these conversations, having these conversations with your friends, your family, colleagues. Trust me, it's better than politics. Time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Folks, if you don't have a deck of Bermuda Trivia cards, what are you waiting for? All right, now are you ready?
I am.
All right, I'm not. Let me get a card up. See what we got for you.
Oh, this is a conspiracy, I believe, folks.
No, honestly, I haven't looked. Oh, well, this would have been great for last week, and probably not a good question since we're talking about addiction. So I'm going to switch it. We're not talking about Patron. Oh, nope, that's nope. Wow. Okay, maybe this one. All right, here we go. Folks, help him out. Who does Outkast say sorry Miss Jackson goes out to?
I've got the I've got the chorus, but I'm not having that part.
All right, no one knew the answer. No one was able to help you. The question was, who does Outkast say sorry Miss Jackson goes out to? Well,
Baby mama, yes.
I mean,
yes, Sherry. Well done, Sherry.
Elsie Phillips, mamas, baby mamas. Misha says all the baby mamas, baby mama, mamas.
I couldn't get the chorus out of my head.
Yeah, you. I don't know, baby mamas, going out to all the baby mamas. Look, let's wrap it up, man. Look, I just want to say something, because obviously, depending on where you're tuned in from this show, you don't see all the comments like we do in here. But this show is not political. Let me say it again. This show is not political. Do we discuss politics? Yes. We discuss politics, health, family, life, sports, current events. But it's not a political show. It didn't begin like that, and it will never become that. So while we appreciate the comments from the audience about what happened yesterday or said yesterday about Lawrence Scott, this show is not a continuation of the day before as far as topics. There's a lot of things to discuss. I believe every conversation and guest is just as important as the last. And as we grow, the goal is to really find ways to just improve the level of conversation and engagement. So if you come here expecting to discuss politics every day, we're probably not the space that you want to be. Again, said as no disrespect, but what we can do is change who we are and what we intend to do to improve Bermuda. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on today's conversation, traveling to the U.S., and of course, family recovery.
Traveling to the U.S., I think, really just ticks the last box for us in Bermuda as returning to a bit of normalcy in reference to the global pandemic. Of course, there's still protections or protocols that personally you may want to do, but I think that kind of, helps us to realize what we can do, and there's no further restrictions. Recovery and addiction. I think I was surprised at how the conversation went. Sometimes I have a thought as a host, you wonder how someone will be and whatnot. And the way how she presented the information was very good. I liked how I like the work that she's doing. It made me think of, man, this is another brain that probably can be used back on island. And sometimes we have the guests that live outside of Bermuda, and I'm just saying, man, we really need these types of people back in this space. But the good thing is virtually and through a podcast that she hears, she can get that information out. But I was definitely pleased and encourage people to share this conversation, because we are all impacted one way or another by this topic, and the only way we're gonna begin to address it is by having these conversations.
Indeed. And I just want to add, as far as the conversation about traveling to the US, look, I'm looking forward to my family and friends coming to visit and experience, my living in the US. But I hope that Bermudians took away a lot from this. And from a government perspective is, let's get some services, much needed services on island and improve some things. But also Bermudians can have contingency plans. This can happen at any time, but also get to know your island more and explore the world beyond what you've always known. So there's a few things with that. As far as the conversation with Margaret Swift Thompson, I agree, Larry. I appreciate the way she presented. I'm looking forward to listening to her podcast. But I think, again, it's conversations like this why I wake up every morning excited to do this show. I learned some things, I'm going to be honest with you. I had not thought of the family. I had not thought of it to the point where she addressed it. You always think of the addict and, you kind of, it's a narrow view, right? You don't think about how it impacts the family and in depth and how they may need help dealing with it. So I appreciate the work she's doing, and props to her, folks. Again, I thought it was a very good conversation. Please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like wherever you're tuned in, and share it. Screenshot some of what she said and share that with your friends and family. It could help someone. It could save families. You got some daily inspiration for us?
I do. And our daily inspiration is brought to us by ER Fisheries. Recovery is not a race. You don't have to feel guilty if it takes you longer than you thought it would. From an anonymous writer.
I like that one, brother. I like that one. Folks, don't forget, we've got a lot coming up. A lot. We will be podcasting the show. We'll be having the restaurant crawl. We'll be doing some giveaways before the end of the month. 2 AC remote control AC units will be given away. All you have to do, just make sure. And if you don't know how to sign up, just go to the contact us part on our website and put your information in. We'll get you on our list. Also, make sure you're a member of the TDH community so you can partake in some of the activities we have coming up. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we continue to do our part to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to have these conversations with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Friday. There is no show tomorrow. We'll be back live on Friday, the 12th of May. All right. Larry Marshall Jr., I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, please do make it a safe and a great day. We're out. Peace.